Everyone is talking about whether AI is going to take our jobs. But today, we're going to ask a totally different question and maybe a more important one. What happens to the jobs and the people that are left behind? Okay, let's dive in and take a look at this ghost in the machine.
See, the real story here isn't just about unemployment numbers on a chart. It's about what happens to our morale, our sense of purpose, and the very meaning of our work when AI walks into the office. It's about this: slow hollowing out of value for the employees who actually survive the transition.
To really get a feel for this on a human level, I want to tell you a little story. It's a glimpse into a not-so-distant future that makes this whole abstract idea, it makes it feel incredibly personal. It really hits home.
Okay, so picture this. It's Friday afternoon. You're just about to wrap things up, you're thinking about the weekend, and then a letter lands on your desk. And you know that timing? Yeah, that's no accident.
And right there, you get this incredibly unsettling mix of corporate speak reassurance and just brutal news. Your job is safe, but your colleagues, your team, they're gone. And they've been replaced by something new, something called George.
So you walk in on Monday morning, and George is already there. It's not a person, of course. It's the new AI system, and it's already busy, silently switching on computers, scanning documents, filing reports with this perfect, unnerving efficiency. The work of 3 people is already done before you've even had your first cup of coffee.
And then you find out what safe really means. Your new job description is, this. You're not a contributor anymore. You're basically a babysitter for a machine. And that's the punchline. Not a very funny one, is it? This is exactly what happens when AI is brought in just to cut costs, with zero thought given to human purpose.
So that story, as jarring as it is, just perfectly nails the core problem we need to talk about, something called the George effect. It's what happens when all these amazing efficiency gains from AI flow in only one direction, and that direction is up.
And that brings us to the central question we absolutely have to ask. We know AI can make companies more productive, more profitable, for sure. But where does all that new value actually end up? Okay, let's break this down. The gains from AI efficiency, that translates to a reduced headcount. That bump in productivity, it goes straight to higher margins for the company. The automation, that often funds executive bonuses and, you guessed it, shareholder returns. Now, who do you notice is missing from this picture? Yeah, the employees who are still there. And here's the kicker. This is the direct result. People don't get disengaged just because there's a new piece of tech. No, they check out when they realize the system feels rigged, when their own contribution gets multiplied by technology, but their reward, their value, gets quietly hollowed out. Morale doesn't just dip, it collapses. All right, so let's dig a little deeper into the core issues here. Because AI isn't really creating these problems out of thin air. What it's actually doing is putting a giant magnifying glass on the systemic flaws that already exist in how we think about pay, about career paths, and about purpose at work. This slide shows the clash perfectly. On the one hand, you've got the traditional way of thinking we've all followed for decades. You climb the corporate ladder, you get more responsibility, you earn more money. Simple. But then, on the other hand, you have the new AI reality. It kind of just breaks that ladder. It flattens the whole organization, and if your pay is only tied to getting a new title that almost never opens up, what happens? You end up with these incredibly productive, experienced people whose pay is just completely stalled out. But even if we could magically fix the pay problem, there's a much deeper issue at play. The crucial point here is that morale isn't just about your paycheck, it's about your agency, your actual ability to make decisions and feel like you have an impact.
These are just fundamental human needs when it comes to work, right? We need to feel responsible for something, we need to use our judgment, we need to be accountable, and we need to feel like our decisions actually matter. When your main job becomes making sure George is plugged in, all of that, it just vanishes. The whole point of AI should be to remove the drudgery, not our purpose.
And then there's this other, almost more insidious cost to morale. It's that slow, dawning realization that the AI making your job feel smaller was trained on your work. Your years of emails, your carefully written reports, all of your expertise, it was all scraped and fed into the system that now makes you feel obsolete. And of course, this was usually done without your consent, without any extra compensation.
Okay, so after all of that doom and gloom, you might be thinking this is all just some unavoidable dystopian future we're headed for. But it's not. It really isn't. The George scenario only happens if companies can't think beyond simple cost cutting. There is a much, much better way to do this.
So let's look at what a healthier model looks like.
First, you share the financial gains. If AI is saving the company a ton of money, some of that has to go back to the employees. Second, you actively redesign people's jobs. You move them away from the repetitive tasks that AI is great at and into roles that need human judgment, strategy, and creativity. Third, you have to reward expertise itself, not just promotions. And finally, and this is the big one, you change the entire mindset. AI is a tool to multiply what humans can do, not to replace them.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all home. What's the one big idea you should take away from all this? Why does any of this really matter to you?
This, right here, is the heart of it all. The real anxiety most of us feel isn't just about losing a paycheck. It's about keeping a job that has completely lost its soul. It's the fear of being paid to just sit at a desk and watch a machine do all the meaningful work, while we just exist on the sidelines.
And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. As we race to bring AI into every part of our lives, the most important question we can ask isn't how many jobs will we lose, it's how much meaning will we lose. Because if we only focus on protecting jobs without also protecting purpose, we might end up saving the organization, but will absolutely break the people inside it.